This is Gemara Baba Kama Daf Vav, and today's shir has been sponsored as an incredible schos refuah shleiman to say thank you Hashem that Baruch Hashem Yoel Ben from Italiza is back home, recovering nicely at home. Tremendous thank you for everyone's schos HaTorah that for sure aided in his recovery, and we continuously learn that the schos HaTorah will allow his road to complete health to be a quick and easy one. As well as, again, a tremendous thank you for everyone that partook in my shul's campaign, B'siyata D'Shemaya. Hopefully, we'll be able to host a siyum there in the shul. I'll be able to invite everyone over down here to Haverstraw, New York. For now, as we always say, Daf Vav is on the agenda. So let's go. Gemara Baba Kama, Daf Vav. Amid Aleph, Hasad Hashaveh Sheben, and we quote the end of the Mishnah that the Mishnah taught us what is the Sad Hashaveh, what is the common denominator, and today is really going to be all about Sad Hashaveh. The common denominator is that they do damage and that the owner has to pay b'meitav haaretz. Says the Gemara La'asuyei Mai. As always, the Mishnah listed the Arba always the Zikin. And then the Mishnah continued by telling us cases of Tzad HaShaveh. So the Tzad HaShaveh, the common denominator of it has to be coming to include something that is not listed in the Mishnah. Omar Abaye, says Abaye, and we're going to have four different cases that the Tzad HaShaveh is coming to include. Omar Abaye La'asuyei. We put your stone, your knife, your load on the top of a roof, and what happens? A regular wind blows and they fall down, and they damage. That's the case that the owner of the Even Sakin Masai is obligated to pay, is learnt out from the Tzad HaShaveh, the common denominator of our Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Hey Chidami, and we'll explain hopefully this well once, as we're going to see in classical Gemara sense each time of the four different ways of learning to be the exact same build-up. So Hey Chidami, says the Gemara, if the Avnoi Sekinu Masai, as they're flying off the roof, they cause damage. Hainu Eish. That is Eish Hamazik. That would be called a Tolda subcategory of Eish. That Eish is Shekin Koyach Acher Me'ura, Rashi explains. So to over here, what is the defining characteristic of an Eish? And truthfully, as we've been learning the past few days, as we get involved in the Zikin, a lot of it is trying to qualify, categorize, perfectly explain what is this damager so we can apply it elsewhere. So what is an Eish? An Eish is something that requires something else to fuel it. So to over here, says the Gemara, and the Gemara explains, the Eish needs another power. And it's your money. Haninami, these items are also. So says the Gemara, you wouldn't need to include this via the Tzad HaShaveh. This is Eish, so it's already included. The Ella, says the Gemara, you're right. Basar Dinaichi. You know what the case must be? The case must be after the Avnei Sekinu Masai came to rest, then they do damage. Says the Gemara, so what's the case? If you were a mafker, if you put these items on the roof, and you were a mafker, then you declare them ownerless. Says the Gemara, Bein l'Rav, Bein l'Shmuel, that we're going to see later on. Hold, Hainu bar. This is a bar. What's a bar? A bar is a pit. Bar is a hole in Rosh Hashanah. But what is the defining characteristic of a bar? Ma'ishna bar shekein tchilasai. Tchilas asiyasai lenezik. From the moment of its inception, its creation, it's standing to damage. And it's your money. Ushmirasan alecha, and you're obligated to watch it. Hani nami, these items also tchilas asiyas lenezek, meracha shirasan alech. Says the Gemara, then it's bar. So Ella, you know what the case must be? Delay afkarinu. You did not declare it ownerless. So Shmuel, according to Shmuel, that holds the Amar, even when it is not hefker, kulam lemi bar lamanu, hainu bar. So the Gemara is trying to figure out what is the scenario that you need an extra limud of the tzara shavet to teach us that one is obligated for the damages. Says the Gemara, Lo'ilam dafkarinu, we're talking about you made it hefker. And yet, v'loy dami labar. And yet, for some reason, like the Gemara is about to explain, you can't learn out the avno sakino masai that you put on the roof and they flew down and they damaged. Excuse me, shouldn't say that. That they damaged when they were in Rosh Hashanah, more particularly. And it's hefker, it's ownerless, but it's not a bar. Why is it not a bar? Malabar shkin ein koyach acher me'urev boy. Because a bar does not have another force mixed with it. Toimar behani shekoyach acher me'urev bohen. These items didn't get there on their own. They only got there being fueled by the wind. So maybe that's a reason, suggests the Gemara, that you can't learn it out straight from bar. Responds the Gemara, you're right. But like we just said. But fire shows us that what? Ma'alei, just like a fire, shekin, and you're obligated, this should be as well. Says the Gemara, bar excuse me. Let me read that again. Excuse me. And Aish's very essence is to do damage, and these packages are not. Says the Gemara, you're right. So on that bar teichiach, so we have this balance. On one hand, it's like an Aish. On one hand, it's like a bar, v'chazer adin, and it goes back and forth. And from the combination, from the tzara shava of Aish and bar, two items that you're obligated, two items that damage, we come to include avnoi sakino yumasai sheinicham b'roish gagoy v'nofla, that one is obligated to pay for their damages. Pshat number one in the Mishnah of Abaye. Rav Amar continues the Gemara, and hopefully now it will flow much easier as we understand the basic setup of the Gemara. Rav Amar la'asuye, you know what the Mishnah comes to include? Bar hamit galgel beragle adam uberagle behema. A pit, literally, that rolls via the feet of man and the feet of a behema. We have a movable bar, as we will see. That's the unique case that the Mishnah is coming to include, with the tzara shava at the end of the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Hechidami, what's the case? Again, Daf Yomi, this should sound familiar, being the Rabbi in the Shmuel, I knew bar. Maishna bar, Shchitilas asiyas lenezik ushmiras alecha, Nami, these as well. Tchilas asiyas lenezik ushmiras alecha, Ella, Delay afkarinu. You were not mafkarit. Says Gemara again, Lishmo damar kulam bi bar lamanu hainu bar. Says Gemara, right, Ilam dafkarinu. Volodami labar, and here it is. But this case of the bar miskalgal, the movable bar, this item that is moving, is not really like a bar. Why? Male bar shkein maisav garmulai. When you make a bar, what is causing the damage? You that dug the pit are causing the eventual damage. Whereas Toimer Bahani, but in this case, you're not. Shein maisav garmulai. It's not your actions. It's the person that kicked this item. It's the animal that kicked this item and fueled the damage. So there's a third party here. So it's not like a bar. Says Gemara, you're right, but Shar Yachiach. An ox will prove you that also it's not your actions. Says Gemara, okay, but Malashar Shar is unique. Shkein Darka Leilach Lazik is normal to damage, and this is not. Bar Tochiach v'Chazer Adin La Rizak Rizah. So pshat number two is that what is the tzara shava? It's learned out from shar and bar, and it comes to include a bar mitgalgel baragli aldam ubaragli behema. Pshat of Rava. Pshat number three, Ravada Barava Amar Lasui Haditanya Kolelu Sha'amru. All these that we said. Hoiskin bibaiseyem v'garfin ma'aroiseyem. That one is allowed to empty out their sewage pipes. The one is allowed to throw their waste baskets into Rishos HaRabim. What's the halacha? B'yimaisachama ein lehem Rishos. In the summer, you're not allowed to throw the waste into the street. Why? Because it's going to ruin the roads. This is something that we'll be dealing with in Mirza Hashem in more depth in later dates. Whereas in Moshe Gishamim, when it's the rainy season and the roads are already wet and the roads are already full of dirt, etc., yesh lahem rishos. Afal pisha bershos. But even though you have permission to throw your zevel, your waste, into the streets, empty out your sewage pipes in the winter, but still, so this unique case of throwing out your zevel, your waste baskets, your manure pipes, etc. in the winter, if they eventually damage, we learned it out from the tzad hashava of our Mishnah. Says the Gemara, let's go. Heichi dami, what's the case? 10 lines to the bottom. First one line is dami. If it damages as it's moving, it's you. You throw it as, Haman, as it's flying through the air, it hits someone on the head, boom! It's your koyach. You damage. It's Adam HaMazik. Elabasa Denechi must be after it's on the ground, someone gets damaged. Echidam, what's the case? Idaf Grino, if it's half green, the Rabbi and Shmuel Hanu Bar. Maishna Bar, Techilas says Yaslan has Yimarcha Shmasan Alecha. Honey, Nami, these items also Yaslan has Yimarcha Shmasan Alecha, and your property, and you're obligated to watch them. Elo Delay Grinu, Lishmuel Damar Kulami Bar, Lamanu Hanu Bar. Ella says the Gemara, La'ilam, 2 lines to the bottom, Daf Grinu, Vlodami Labar. Ma Lebar, Shekain Shalai Ber Shos. Tomer Bahani Shaber Shos. Bar is different because you never have permission to dig a hole in the street. Whereas this case is a unique case. You have permission to create this bar type of item in the street. Therefore, it's not straight a bar. Says the Gemara, okay, but Shar Yochiach, as we turn over to Vava Mebis, by ask the Gemara 1 second, Mala Shar Shkin Dar Kalilach Lahazik, a Shar is normal to damage. In this case, certainly is not. Bar Toichiach. Chazr Adin, Pshat number 3, and what we learn out from the Tzad HaShaveh, from Shar and Bar, we learn out that even though in the winter you're allowed to throw out your waste, etc., into the streets, but if it damages after it rests on the ground, the owner is obligated. Ravina Amar, Vavam Abayz, 2 lines down, the 4th and final pshat in the Mishnah, La'asui Hadid Tanan, Koisel Va'ilan Shenaflu Rishus Harabim, if a wall or a tree falls into Rishus Harabim Ve'ziko Patim L'Sham. In each one of these cases, as one can anticipate, are large discussions in the world of Nizikin and will be dealt with later on, whether it's later on in this Masechta, this case will be dealt with at the end of Bava Metzia, etc. So in this case, if one's wall or trees falls into Rishus Harabim and it damages, the fact that he has to pay is, he's potter. But if Nasnu Loi Zaman Lakitz, if they gave him a time frame to cut down the wall or take down the wall or cut down the tree. Lakitz says the Ilam Lister says Kaisel v'nafloi b'toichazman ve'zikoi potter as well. You did nothing wrong. They gave you 30 days, and within 30 days it fell. It's not your problem. But li'achar hazman, then the owner is chayiv. Then you're obligated. You should have taken down that tree, that wall. Hey chidami. This is going to be the case that's included in the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, what's the case? Idaf Grinu ben the Rabbi and Shmuel Hainu Bar. A bar is normal to damage, and you're obligated to watch it. Ask the Gemara, so Lailam, you know what I'll tell you? Why? Timer Bahani, these items, it's a wall, it's a tree, it's certainly not. Says the Gemara, you're right. Shar Yochiach. But we learn out from the combination of bar and shar that if one has a wall, a tree that falls, and he had a time frame to cut it down, and after that time frame, the reason why he's obligated is learned out from the Tzad HaShaveh of the Mishnah. 4 Gevaldik Pshatim, what we learn out from the Tzad HaShaveh of the Mishnah. We continue, Vavam and Beis, about 15 lines down, the 2 dots. Continue quoting the Mishnah, Kishehizik, Chav HaMazik. That when these items damage, the Mazik, the damager, hopefully within a short amount of time, the terms of Mazik and Nizik will be ingrained in our psyche. Mazik is he who damages, Nizik is he who gets damaged. Kshehizik chav hamazik. So first the Gemara says a little bit of a word question. Chav hamazik, chayav hamazik. Says the Gemara, what's chav? We always say chayiv. Why does the Mishnah say chav? Answers the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda. Interesting teretz. Amar Rav Hai, Amar Rav Hai Tani Yerushalmihu. The Tani Lishta Kalila. This is coming from Yerushalmi, which Yerushalmi always talks in a shortened, a Kalil language, and therefore it says chav and not chayiv. Now, what is the chayiv? What was the common din in the Mishnah? All these damagers are obligated to pay. Lishalem tashlumei nezik, said the Mishnah, mimeitav haaretz, from the choicest of the land, said the Mishnah. And the question is, as we learned the Mishnah, what's meitav haaretz? What's the choicest land? Tana Rabbanan, says the Gemara, about 20 lines down. First word on the line is meitav. Meitav sadeu, meitav karma yishalem. You have to pay from the best field, the best vineyard. Meitav sadeu shel nizik, meitav karma shel nizik. Rabbi Yishmael. Yishmael says you got to pay the best field of the damage E. Now what that means, we're going to explain. Rav Akiva Amar, no. Laba kasav ela ligabot lenizikim and idios. Says Rav Akiva, we learn out from the pasuk of Meitav sadeu, meitav karma yishalem. Not who's meitav, but rather just that when it comes to damages, a general rule, says Rav Akiva, you pay from the idios, you pay from the best, but kal v'chaymer lehektish. Okay, end of Brisa, but now let's understand it. Ask the Gemara of Rav Yishmael, what did he say? You pay from the meitav, the best of the nizik. Says the Gemara, what's going on over here? Achal shmeina, mishalim shmeina. So if, let's say, for example, my animal damages your field, whoever you currently is listening is, hopefully there's a few people. So, achal shemeina, mishalim shemeina. Okay, that makes sense. It ate a good gishmaka field, worth $1,000, I got to pay you $1,000. Achal kachusha, but says the Gemara, if I damage a shvach, a weak, a garbagey field, mishalim shemeina, I got to pay more than I damage. What does Yishmael mean that I have to pay? If you, the damagee, have a field worth 100 and a field worth 1,000, my animal goes and damages the field worth 100. I got to pay you 1,000? Why would that be so? Amar Rav Idi Baravin explains the Gemara, Hachamay eskinan. The case is that the animal ate a row from amongst the rows, meaning you have a bunch of rows, some better rows, some worse rows, better rows, and worse rows. My animal come and damages something, we do not know. We don't know which one it damaged. In that scenario, says Rabbi Yishmael, the Mishalim Shemina. Amar Rava, Rava's still not happy. I don't understand, says Rava. If I knew that I ate a weak row, what would the din be? Lo mishalim ela kechusha. I would pay for that weak row. Says Rava, hashta delo yadina. Now that we do not know, kechusha achal, ishmeina achal, mishalim shmeina. Why would that be? Asked Rava. The number one rule in all of nizikin is what? If I want to extract money from you, I gotta bring the burden of proof. I come to you, you owe me $100. You say, okay, great, show me a star. Prove to me that I have to pay you. So over here, I don't know. My animal damaged one of the rows in your field. You don't know which row. So why do I have to pay for the best? I should have to pay. Prove. If you can't prove, I pay for the worst. Last school rule of Amaitz. So where does Rabbi Yishmael's din that you pay me meitav, the best of the nizik, apply? Says the Gemara, finally, Ella Amar Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, you know what's going on. Hacha b'maya skinan kigoin, shaisa idias de nizik, kiziburias de mazik. And this is where things get, I don't want to say complicated, but for the last 2 minutes of the shir, we got to turn our brains on. The idias of the nizik is the same as the ziburias of the mazik. I am the mazik. So far, that's what the case has been. I've been saying. So I damage you. Your idiot, your best field is worth my worst field. So now the question is, who do we evaluate by? Do I pay based on you, the nizik, or do I pay based on me, the mazik? Ubahak Pligi, says the Gemara. Rabbi Yishmael Savar, but the nizik shaiminan. You pay based on the nizik. So it was your what? It was your idiot. It was your best. So I got to pay the best. Rav Akiva Savar, but the mazik shaiminan. Says the Gemara, 1 second. My time with Rav Yishmael. Why does Rav Yishmael say b'din nizik shaiminon? Nemer sad lamata v'nemer sad lamalo. Ma sad amr lamalo dinizik. Av sad amr lamata. Later on the psukim dinizik. Rav Akiva meitav sadeo meitav karma yishalim deheich deka v'shalim wherever it is you pay from it. Says the Gemara. Rav Yishmael ahani gzeir shava ve'ahani kra. The truth is, we're going to stop over here in the world of Rav Yishmael, which he explains the Gzeir Shava, and he explains the pasuk Ahani Gzeir Shava, like we just said, Kedei Amr. Ahani Kra Kigayin, and with this we're going to stop. We'll pick this up. This Mazik Idis Ziburis Idis Lizik Nizuj Mazik Lashavi Idis Nizik Shalom Meitav today. So Matzi Amr Leitat Kiburis Elagabi Meitav. We'll read that case again. Siyata Deshmaya in the next shir.